Hello. Hello, fifth grade families. I know several of you. As you know, my daughter is also in fifth grade, so I'm here as a parent as well for this tonight. Tonight is just an opportunity to really get to hear what's coming up for our fifth grade kids into sixth grade. I just want to make a quick announcement. I don't know if you saw it today or not, the email that came out from us, but we have named our next secondary principal, Mr. Jed Mosman. And so we are so excited for him to take on this role for us. And he's done a tremendous job, and just over the time we kept twisting his arm. Hey, you're really good at this, really good. You should do this. So we're excited. So Mr. Mosman, we're excited to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Great to be here with you tonight. When sixth grade families or to-be sixth grade families come in, that's a special place in my heart because that was where I spent a lot of time in the classroom. So prior to coming to New Life, I was 21 years in a classroom. 15 of those were as a sixth grade teacher in a middle school setting, and 6 of them were as a fifth grade teacher at elementary. So this fifth, sixth grade level, I love fifth and sixth graders. People think I'm crazy because they're like, as my sixth grader teacher said, they're kind of like the septic tank of the earth. Sixth graders are. I was like, no, that's eighth graders. Just wait. But excited to talk with you a little bit about what's coming for your children as they enter the middle school here at New Life. So we're going to talk a few things a little about just some changes that happen as you go from elementary school into middle school. So one of the big ones, and some of these are for for parents, some of it's for the kids as well, but one of the big ones is there's no longer a homeroom teacher. So when your kids are in fifth grade, they have one teacher that basically they have for all of their classes, at least if they've been at New Life. Other schools have different models, but here that's our model. And yes, they go to PE and they go to library and they go to different things like the specialist teachers. But in terms of their actual teacher, they have one, and that's the person that usually communicates with you on a regular basis. A lot of them I know send a weekly email home kind of saying, here's what's coming out next week, here's the homework that you need to be thinking about, all of those things. And that changes when you go from elementary school into middle school. You don't have that homeroom teacher anymore, so as a parent you're probably saying, well, how do I stay informed of what's going on? How do I know? So Schoology is now going to become your best friend. You have some experience or some exposure to Schoology when your kids are in elementary school. You may see the groups that you can follow and that sort of thing. And there's a few announcements that come out through that. Now it's going to be that every teacher that your child has their own Schoology page or their own Schoology site. And everything that happens during that class is going to be put on Schoology, or almost everything, I should say. So assignments will be linked on there. Yes, they may get a paper copy at home, but this is a wonderful thing that they may come home. Oh, I forgot my assignment at school. Well, guess what? We can go right to Schoology, click on that link, and download it. And then sometimes you can do it right there online. Other times you might need to print it at home if you've got a printer, that sort of thing. Late work, same type of thing. Oh, we forgot to do that assignment from a week ago. Oh, I don't have that anymore. Well, guess what? We can go find that on Schoology. What a wonderful thing. So Schoology is going to become your best friend in terms of staying on top of things. Our teachers are really good about updating their assignments, about putting notes on there, so you'll see what's happening in class. And the kids will understand how to navigate that as well, because our teachers are going to teach them, hey, here's what you need to be looking for, here's where you need to go. The In Focus newsletters that come out, they get emailed out usually on Monday afternoon as well. Those are a big thing for you to keep track of too. That's the way that each division does an update, the head of school does an update with that. And so I would recommend, if you're not already reading those, that you read those every week, just get in that habit, because it'll inform you of a lot of different things that are happening around school. Things as simple as, hey, when does middle school sports registration start in the spring? That sort of thing, along with all sorts of things related to each division. So those are the ways that are going to change in terms of an elementary. You have one teacher that's kind of sending information home. Now you have a couple different sources for you to access to find that same information. The schedule when we get to middle school obviously changes a bunch. You go from that one teacher who now teaches math for 45 minutes, and then you maybe take a little break and you do a read aloud or something like that, and now they're going to teach reading for an hour and that sort of thing, but it's all contained in that one classroom. Now there are 7 periods in a day for sixth graders. So they might start first hour and they've got Bible, and then second hour they're going to math, and third hour they're going to social studies and so forth, and that's going to be a different teacher for almost every one of those classes. And I've had parents tell me, well, that's so hard to keep track with. You know what? Your kids do it remarkably well. Like I said, I've worked with this grade this age, this transition from 5th to 6th grade for over 20 years in education, and it's amazing how well they figure it out. And sometimes parents are like, I just can't get a handle of it because you're not here. I hate to break it to you, but it's a lot easier when you're here and they walk by the office. Oh, I can't remember if it's an A day or a B day, because that matters for their electives, which we'll talk about in just a minute. I can't remember if it's an A day or B day. Oh, wait, I just look in the office window and there's a big letter that says A day or B day right in the window of the office. So there are things that they have access to, and they're just being here, they navigate it a whole lot better sometimes than parents do, because it's just constantly, it's a part of their everyday life where it's not so much your everyday life anymore. So just be aware of that. 7 periods. Our A days and B days, we alternate. So there are some electives that they have every day all year long, or every day for a semester. Then there are other electives that they have every other day. So on an A day, they may have, what's something they might have on an A day? Band, gym, okay, and on the B day, they may have choir, okay, something like that. So those flip back and forth, A day and B day. Flex time is something that becomes a part of their schedule when they get to middle school. So what is flex time? Flex time is a little break in the day for a number of different reasons. So on a Monday, a Tuesday, or a Friday, we have our normal 7-period day schedule. And they'll have first hour and second hour, or first period and second period, and then we have what's called flex. And flex is about a half an hour long, and during that time, it really is about what does the kid need to be successful. So some kids, that means they just need a brain break. So the gym is open and they go and they shoot baskets, or they hit around a volleyball, or they kick around a soccer ball, or whatever it is. They just need to get loose a little bit and let some steam off. For some kids, that's just sitting quietly talking to a friend while enjoying a cup of coffee or a frappe from the coffee shop, that sort of thing. For some, it's I'm behind on my work, or I missed a test last week that I need to make up. I'm going to go visit with that teacher and get some extra help, because our teachers are available during that half-hour period. For some, they get assigned to go see a teacher. We have what's called required flex. So if a teacher knows, hey, you know what, James missed a whole bunch of class last week because he was sick. Yep, calling out the Hudson family over there. Okay. James missed a whole bunch of class last week because he was sick. I know he needs a little help getting caught up. I'm going to ask that James come to my room during flex. And so then there's a list that goes on that every teacher sees. And so the second hour teacher remembers to tell James, hey, you're supposed to go see Mr. Mosman in room 215 because you're going to work on your math today, or whatever it might be. So there's many different ways that flex can be used. It can just be a break. It can be a study hall. It can be an opportunity to go get tutoring or help from another teacher as well. The biggest thing that we want to make sure is how well are they using this time? And so if you're looking at, boy, when my kid comes home, what should I be asking them? That might be a great question. How'd you use your flex time today? Not only does it tell you about some things academically, but it also tells you some things socially about your student as well. Well, what did you do during flex? Well, I sat in the cafeteria and we played cards or whatever it might be, or we, and, oh, okay, well, who'd you play with? So you're getting, okay, you're interacting with some other kids. What did you do during flex time? Well, I sat alone in the great room. Oh, well, why did you do that? Well, nobody wanted to hang out with me. Okay, well, then that's something we can talk about. I sat and read a book. Great, what'd you read? It's a great way to kind of build some conversation there. So flex time is Monday, Tuesday, and Friday. On Wednesday and Thursday, we go to what's called our block schedule. Okay? And this is a really great opportunity for a number of our teachers to have labs and other activities that take a little bit longer than our normal 48-minute period. You think about science labs. It's really hard to get a science lab set up, completed, written about, and then torn down in the space of 48 minutes. So great opportunity to say, you know what, those block days, we're actually going to put 2 class periods together. So rather than having all 7 periods that day, we're only going to have 4. So on Wednesday, we have first hour, second hour, third hour, and fourth hour, or fourth period. And that's it, along with lunch in the middle. No flex time on that day. But those hours are twice as long as they normally would be. Then on Thursday, we pick up with fifth hour, and then there's chapel, which is all school, all of middle school and upper school, 6th grade through 12th grade. We meet in here, we do worship, and then we have a speaker. We usually watch the news and a few other things. It's a great opportunity to come together as a community. And then we do community groups in the middle school level. Community groups this year were a lot of fun in that everybody kind of has that home community teacher that they check in with. And that happens about every 5 weeks or so, where it's just, hey, tell me how you're doing in class. Is there anything we need to talk about? There might be a little lesson with that. The other weeks, we've had a cool thing this year where every teacher at that middle school level took a topic that they were kind of passionate about. And they said, this is something I think kids should know, and I'm going to teach it to them. And so it's not necessarily a part of our curriculum, but it's stuff that's practical. So one teacher was really likes model airplanes, so when they get to that rotation, they build a model airplane over 5 weeks. Myself and a colleague of mine, we teach about personal finance over 5 weeks. So we talk about college planning, we talk about wants versus needs, we talk about credit scores and credit cards and all that sort of thing, just to give them a little primer as to what's happening. There's one where they just go play games for the 45 minutes. They play board games, which is a really good social piece. It's kind of fun and scary at the same time to watch the 8th graders play board games together. They like Apples to Apples. I don't know if you're familiar with that game, but Apples to Apples, they have 4 cards that are automatic winners every time. And I don't understand the language of why they're automatic winners every time, but if somebody plays that card, they're just like, oh, that's the winner, we're done. So lots of fun things that happen in that again are kind of teachers' passions of I want kids to know this, and they rotate through those during the course of the year. It's really been fun community group setting that we've used this year. And then after community groups, then they continue with their 6th period and their 7th period classes. And again, those are twice as long. So that's Wednesday, Thursday, and then Friday we go back to that normal 7 period day with the flex in the middle. Okay? Just a couple of expectations as you move from middle school or elementary school to middle school. First one is keeping on top of work is a big deal. Whereas when they're with one teacher all day long, that teacher kind of says, hey, you know what, we've got a couple extra minutes here. Why don't you finish up your math that I know you didn't finish before? Ooh, I know you were gone for a day. Let's just have you finish that reading right now when we've got a couple minutes, or why don't you come back from lunch a couple minutes early? There are things that happen in that elementary classroom when it's just one teacher that it's really hard for it to have happen in a middle school setting. So that's where Schoology becomes really important, both for your child and for you to keep track of what's going on in the academic world. Are they behind? Are they missing work? That sort of thing. And there are penalties for late work. Elementary teachers may not always do that, but at the middle school level, if you turn in your work late, it's 10% off right away. So now you did all the work, you did it well, but you're going to lose 10% just because you didn't do it on time. So as a family, talking through, making sure we're organized, and obviously we do that with our staff here as well. They do a good job of teaching the kids, here's how you keep track, here's a system that might work for you. This system's not working for you, let's try something else to help them stay organized. So they're on top of that. Okay? The second one, this is somewhat tongue-in-cheek. As they move to middle school, we'd really like them to be a palatable human being. Okay? That's harder than it looks sometimes. They can be kind of stinkers, and we're talking about development in just a second here. It's really about helping them make better choices about how they treat each other and how they present themselves to the world. So just a few things developmentally you're going to see. How many of you, this is your first child entering middle school? Okay, a number of you, that's great. Okay, others of you that are seasoned veterans, you're going to look at this and go, oh yeah, I recognize that one. So when we talk about child development as we hit early adolescence or middle school, those kind of ages 11 to 14, 15, one of the things you're going to see is increased emotions. Everything takes on a heightened sense. There's nothing that's just kind of average. Everything is either the best or the worst, and there isn't a whole lot in between. So what you're going to see is when they get hurt, it really hurts. When they get angry, they're really angry. When my nephew, who's now a junior at St. Paul Central, when he was in 8th grade, my sister-in-law, who's not in education, said to my wife, who's also a teacher, said, why is he so angry all the time? Because he's a 14-year-old boy, that's why. It's what they do. I hate to blame it on the hormone thing, but that's a big part of it. Okay? So you're going to see things. When they feel like they get alone, we talked about, what'd you do at Flex today? Oh, I sat in the great room by myself. Okay? That feels like they are the only person on the planet to them. So you're seeing these highs and lows. The highs also are really high. They'll come home flying high because they got an A on a test, or they scored 10 points in their basketball game, or some girl smiled at them, or some boy smiled at them, or whatever it might be. They're going to feel those positives a whole lot higher as well, and you're going to feel, as a parent, like you're riding the roller coaster all the time. That's normal. Okay? So don't try to get off the ride. Okay? Just understand that that's how they are, okay? And learn to roll with it. Okay? You're going to see a whole lot more friend issues. In elementary school, they kind of get their class, and for the most part, everybody in that class gets along. There's a few hiccups here and there, but everybody's kind of nice to each other. You just know this is who we're rolling with for most of the time this year. Yes, we can hang out with other people at recess, a little bit at lunch, but all of our class time is going to be with this group of 18, 20 people. You get to middle school, and all of a sudden there's our whole 6th grade class, but then we're in some classes like PE and others where now there's the 7th and 8th graders. So instead of being exposed to 20 people, I'm now at like 150 people that I might be hanging around with on a regular basis, okay? And you'll see where kids, your sweet little son or your sweet little daughter that's never done anything wrong in the world can turn into an absolute monster and say the nastiest things to people, or have the people say the nastiest things to them that you ever heard. And we don't want to make light of that. And we want to make sure that when I talked about being a palatable human being, that's what we're getting at, is when that happens, how do we work backwards from that? How do we have the conversation of this is how we don't treat people? How are we going to treat them better? So that's a lot of what we're working through in middle school. Okay? They're going to need a lot more independence. If they were constantly hanging out with you after dinner and watching TV or playing games or whatever, you're going to find that more often than not, they may go hang out in their room alone. My kids, I've got a senior and I've got a sophomore. They're both involved in a lot of activities, so we don't always get to have dinner together. After dinner, it's often that I don't see them again until 10 o'clock, 10:30 when they come to say goodnight before they go to bed. Now, they're both very serious about their studies, so they go and they do homework. But they used to do that homework in the living room with us when they were younger. Now they prefer to do it in their rooms. They just need that time alone, okay? I hate to break it to you, but your level of importance in their life is going to drop to the floor pretty quickly. Whereas they seek your approval and your belief in them constantly right now in that elementary age, now all of a sudden it's going to be, boy, what my friends think of me is a whole lot more important. And you're going to find, boy, we used to do things together all the time. Now they don't want to hang out with me. Yep, that's normal. Okay? It's what they're doing. Okay? For them, they are the center of attention all the time, okay? In their own mind. And because of that, they make egocentric meaning out of everything. It's all about, how did this affect me? When that person said something, how did it affect me? When this teacher did this, how did it affect me? It has nothing to do with the whole class. It has very little to do with the people around them. It's about me. And what that leads to a lot of times is exaggeration, also known as lying. Okay? I won't sit out here and say bold-faced like every kid's a liar, but boy, do I get a lot of stories told in my office, okay, when they come in. And we kind of have to work through what's real and what isn't. Okay? So exaggeration is a big thing. Okay? Social media and technology, that's where you used to be the go-to when they had a question, that's where they go now. So if your kids have phones, know that they're already on TikTok and all those places looking for answers. So as a parent, be aware of where they're going and what they're looking at and have those conversations. And I have a lot of conversation with parents who are like, nope, it's a rule. When they got the phone, I can look at their texts at any time. I can look at where they've been on social media. You are the parent. You own that device. You're in charge. Stay strong with that. Because it's going to really help you when things come up that, oh, that's where they got that answer. Well, let's talk about what the truth is, because what you saw online is not really the truth. Last thing, a couple other things you should know. Okay? Read a really good article just last night as I was thinking about what I want to share today that talked about your middle school experience is not your kid's middle school experience. It's changed a lot because of social media and all that, but also don't jump in with your own feelings about what your experience was. A lot of parents, if they didn't have a great middle school experience, and let's be honest, who did? Who really did have a good middle school experience? But they jump in and they see things going a little bit south and they're like, I have to rescue, I have to save, we can't have that. And the article I was reading was actually a story about a woman who said, my daughter was involved in 7th grade drama, and before too long, all the moms were back in 7th grade as well, doing all their drama, because they got into that pattern really quickly. So how do you work through that? Your experience is not theirs. Let them have theirs. Help them through it, but let them have theirs, and don't assume that just because you had something, it's the same thing that they're experiencing. Second thing, they're really uncomfortable in who they are. Okay? Bodies are changing, hormones are changing, skin changes, they're growing, they're short. I remember working in 6th grade building a long time ago, and a teacher friend of mine said, we looked down the hall and you had almost 6 feet tall walking next to someone under 5 feet tall. You had someone that was a graceful, fantastic athlete walking next to a kid that was tripping over his feet trying to walk down the hall. You had all these different things, and she said, yeah, if a parent ever asks, is my kid going to find anybody like them in middle school? Say yes, because they will, because there's all kinds. And yet they're looking around going, nobody's like me. It's so weird. I don't understand. Okay. So helping them figure that out, like, no, you're not alone. If you're feeling like this, I used to tell my kids all the time in the classroom, if you have that question, chances are 5 or 6 other people do. Same thing as a parent. If you're feeling that way, guess what? Probably half of your class feels the same way too. Last thing, they need you, but they don't want to show it. So they're going to hide in their room. Okay? They're going to, escape into their phone when you're trying to have a conversation. Okay? They don't want to show you that they need you, but they still do. And so how do you show up for them? I think this is a big one. When they do come to you, I hate to break it to you, you're kind of the last resort now. Whereas before, you were the first person they told. Now it's like, okay, I asked my friends, I didn't like the answer. I looked online, I didn't get right the answer, or they didn't help me. Now what? I guess mom and dad are all I have left. So when they come and they tell you something, and it could be the worst thing ever, and you're like, if you come with judgment, that's probably the last conversation you're going to have for a little bit. So how do you just kind of listen? Be a sounding board. It's kind of like when you get married and you realize that maybe this is a guy thing, but when you realize that your wife doesn't need you to solve everything, she just wants you to listen. That's kind of the same thing with your adolescent kid. The second part of that is you still need to set boundaries. I talked about the phone. You need to nudge them back towards being that palatable human being that we talked about. And that's an art and a skill at the same time. And that's where we certainly want to help you. We want to be a school that partners with you so that when you're having those tough times, call my office. Call Mindy and Melissa that are going to come up here in just a second and say, I'm having this problem with my kid. I don't know what to do. Kids don't come with a manual. You all know that. And we all have things that we try and we fall flat on our face. And then we go, okay, what's next? Okay? So ask other people. Ask for help. There's nothing wrong with that. Because what we all want at the end of the day is for your kids to be as successful as possible and become that palatable human being, not just now, but for the rest of their lives as well. So I'm going to let Mindy come up, or is Melissa coming up next? So Melissa Klinoff is our registrar officially, but she's kind of our jack of all trades and knows everything about everything in the school. So I'm going to let her share everything about everything. So thank you.
How about just tech for now?
Okay, just tech for now.
I just want to mention before we get to some of the curricular stuff that technology next year in our middle school and upper school, we do ask every student to have their own device. Now in 6th grade, we will be providing a school device. We have carts of Mac computers in each classroom. So your student will have access to that during the day. And then in 7th and 8th grade, they will need to have their own. So that's just something to keep in mind as we're headed that way. And also we do try to have a good solid no headphones or phone policy unless it's being used for a specific thing like filming a movie or something like that. If you have more questions about technology, let me know, but more information will be coming out on that as well.
Okay, and I'm going to be really quick because we have a lot of information still to go over about scheduling. If you do not know me, I see mostly familiar faces in here, but for those that are brand new families, I'm Mrs. Hockadall. Like Mr. Mellett, I also have a 5th grader, so I am Chase's mom, and I am the school counselor here at New Leaf Academy. And I did meet with your 5th graders the other day, and I was excited to tell them that in only 9 weeks they are coming into our world. So we are very excited to have them coming to us. Our office is right across from the band and choir room, so a lot of the things that Mr. Mosman talked about are things that come to our office. You know, if there are friendship problems, if a student isn't feeling right mentally, they just are stressed out, they're overwhelmed, that's when they can come see me. We can talk about coping skills, making sure they're getting enough sleep. We work a lot with students with planners and teaching them how to be organized and how to stay on track of their homework. They come to us for schedule changes. So again, things that Mrs. Klinoff is going to talk about when picking classes. Also, if they're having a hard time in a class, they can come to us. We can offer some National Honor Society students that will tutor. So we're kind of like your go-to for any questions that you guys have, because sixth grade for many of you is brand new. It's our first time doing it. It's going to be my first time as a parent too. But we are here to support you and answer any questions that we can. So, on to scheduling.
I'm going to talk to you about the class options. As Mr. Mosman mentioned, we do have different classes during your day now that you go to different teachers. As sixth grade, you don't have a ton of choice. We will register you all automatically for your English, your social studies, Bible, and science. And math, we will be making decisions later on in this spring or summer based on MAP teacher and teacher recommendation. Most students will go into Math Foundations, which is our sixth grade math class, and we will be connecting with you if we feel or you feel or the current fifth grade teacher feels that maybe they're ready for something a little more advanced, and if we could consider pre-algebra. There is not a wrong or a right math path. The most important thing to us is that your child is in a math that they're comfortable at, that it's not stressful to them, because we want them to enjoy math and to not feel like they've missed pieces of it as they get to the upper levels of math. So no choices necessary here. But when your student clicks the link to do their course registration, and which that link will be available all the rest of this week through the weekend. So there's no rush. We do not give priority by who picks classes first. This is just us getting a list. So the first choice is your year-long elective. And this is the one that's that A-B day that will alternate with PE. So you might recognize it or see a couple new things here if you haven't done this with us before. And I'm sorry it's so small. I realize now that I need to make it a little bit bigger. But all of these have descriptions in that course catalog. Band, choir, drama are some that we've had for years. We always have art. Next year we're going to call art studio art, and we're going to add an additional art class called 3D art for middle school. So you can see the description in the course catalog how those two might be slightly different. Spanish is not an option in sixth grade, but I did want to mention that when you're in seventh and eighth grade, if you would like to take Spanish, that is something you could do, and that will actually count for your Spanish 1 for high school if you do that in seventh and eighth grade. But that's something we'll talk about more next year. We are also putting a possibility out of technology class. We are just trying to get some ideas and find out what the interest level is. So with all of our classes that are electives, it's going to be based on interest. And so if we have some that we don't have enough interest to run, then that might not happen. So just be aware. That's why it's important that your student picks the ones that they think are the best for them. I know it's tempting to talk to friends and pick what other people are doing, but if you end up in a class that is more a friend's interest than you, then it can be not as fun. So I'd encourage you to work with your students to pick the things that they enjoy. And then you will also have the option of your semester electives. So again, as Mr. Mosman mentioned, there are some electives that you will go to every day. So in your 7-period day, you have those 5 core classes on my previous screen. You'll have 1 hour of the day that's your A-B alternate, that some days you'll go to PE, some days you'll go to choir, or whatever it might be. And then every day, 4th hour, you will go to your semester elective. So you'll have 1 elective in first semester, and you'll change to a different elective in the spring semester. And there's a variety of different things. I would encourage you to look in the course guide and read the descriptions. The teachers are available if you have specific questions about those things. But we try to have something that will fit a lot of different interests. So you can see we have things for kids who are interested in drama. We have the music theater class. We do have ukulele and guitar if you're a music person. If you're more of a tech-minded person, we have things like STEAM and computer science, Lego robotics. Multimedia has a lot of tech. That's the class that works on the yearbook. If you need to be active, we have team sports, outdoor ed. If you're a student who knows that you might need a little extra time in your day to do homework or to have that one-on-one help with a teacher, we would recommend Intervention Lab. And if you're not sure about that, please feel free to reach out to us and see if that's a good fit for your child. And then personal finance is, they work through a curriculum with that. We really do recommend that's more for 7th and 8th grade just because of the math involved, but that's just something to look forward to. So when you register, you're going to rank your top 4. And that is no guarantee, but we'll do our best to get you in your top couple. Don't worry about which semester. Many of these are offered both semesters, so we will just do our best to balance your requests. So choose carefully on those. Again, all of this is available online if you want to grab the paper catalog. Yes? No, that's a class. It's a class. Yeah, all of those are actual classes that meet during that 4th hour day. Yeah, it's not an actual sport. They just do like a couple weeks of volleyball, a couple of weeks of hockey. I don't know what all they do. So, yeah, it's a great class for the kids who want that extra activity during the day. Like I said, your child will receive an email to their New Life Academy email address with the link to click to make those elective choices. They can only do it once. So after they've submitted, if they do have some changes, they'll have to send me a message or come talk to me. And then we will be creating schedules in the summer, and that will be launching later in August. So thank you all so very much for coming. It's already 7 o'clock. So we would invite you to go visit with teachers and ask questions. We will be in and out. Catch us if you have more questions. We are excited to have you in middle school. And please do know that when we start 6th grade next year, we do have a 6th grade orientation day. And that's really the day that we go through much of what Mr. Mosman talked about in social and emotional with the kids, because then it's fresh, it's real, they feel like 6th graders, we have a captive audience, and we can really talk to them about those things where it feels like it's going to be the real thing. I'm just going to close with a word of prayer, and then we can be out of here. Heavenly Father, I thank you so much for these opportunities we have to be with students and families, and I pray that as we make decisions for the next year, that you would guide us and that we would just honor you in all those things that we need to do. In your name we pray, amen. Have a great evening. Thank you. Oh yeah, 7th and 8th. Yeah, 7th and 8th grade rising up will be next now, so.
Seventh and 8th grade parents, welcome, or rising, soon to be 7th and 8th grade parents, welcome, come on in. We'll get started in just a minute here. Well, good evening. I did put deodorant on this morning, so I'm not sure everybody felt the need to sit towards the back. I mean, look how far Laura Allen is back there. She's been around me today, so maybe I did put the coat on to help kind of cover up a little bit too, or although she was in here earlier with drama rehearsal and she was concerned about that she was going to get all sweaty, and so maybe it's her, and now I've called you out in front of everybody. I'm so sorry. Oops, my bad. So, well, welcome. For those that I don't know, and as I look around, I see several familiar faces out there. I'm Mr. Mosman, and you may have seen the email that as of today, I'm also now the secondary principal. So, very excited about that. Have been the activities director here for 2.5 years, and without getting into a whole lot of the story, just God is good, and when God decides that he wants to move you somewhere. I mean, I moved from Ramsey, Minnesota to here, and then never thought I'd be a principal, and yet here we are. And I feel really good about it, and I feel blessed and prepared and all sorts of things. So sometime ask me the story, and I'd be happy to share it with you. But it's cool to be here with you tonight and to talk a little bit about what it's like moving from having a 6th grader to a 7th grader or a 7th grader to an 8th grader. So how many of you, just by show of hands, you've got a 6th grader who now is going to be a 7th grader, and it's the first time you've had a 7th grader come through? Okay, a lot of you. And then how many of you are here because you've got a 7th grader that's moving to 8th grader and you're freaking out because you're only a year away from high school? Okay. Yeah, I was there a while ago. I have got 2 here at New Life. I have a daughter that's a senior, and so I'm freaking out about the fact that she's not going to live in my house next year, which is scary. So, and then I have a son that's a sophomore. And we came when they were in 10th grade and 8th grade. So I know a little bit about how, those of you that are 8th grade parents, how you're feeling, thinking about what high school is going to look like a year from now as well. So I want to start today just talking about some of the things related to middle school in general. Now, some of this, because you've been at this for a year or 2, might be kind of review. And that's fine, but for some people I know that even as they hit 7th grade, they're like, no one's ever explained it to me what that actually means. So we're going to try and give just a brief overview of the schedule. So remember that when they're in middle school, they have 7 periods, and they're getting a new teacher every hour. There's occasionally that they might repeat a teacher because they teach an elective and a regular class or a core class, but it's not like elementary school where you've got that same teacher all day long. I taught in the middle school level. I also taught elementary, upper elementary. So for 6 of the years that I taught, I was a 5th grade teacher that was self-contained. I had my 30 kids, or 35 some years. I was in the public school. But I had my 30 kids all day long, every day. And then I taught in the middle school. I taught 6th grade for 15 years, where I had my kids for an hour. And then they went to somebody else. And then I had a different set of kids for an hour. And I might see 150 kids during the course of a day. I liked both of them for different reasons, and I think there are some of the really good things about the kids as they move into 7th, 8th grade, even 6th grade, of having this type of schedule. And part of those we'll get into as we talk about development, and that you as a parent need them to have lots of other adults in their life that are going to tell them the truth. So instead of just having one, having multiple is actually a really good benefit for you as a parent and for them. So they're seeing that new teacher every class for 7 classes. We also do have the AB days based on their electives. I know some parents tell me, I can't figure out what day it is and yeah, you know what, your kids can. That's the cool thing, is you don't have to know everything all the time. They get this cool thing where they get to walk by the office and they look to their right and there's a big green letter in the window that says it's an A day or a B day. They go, oh, that's right. Okay. And if they don't remember that, they just ask a friend and they're like, I think it's a B day, and Mrs. Allen probably has it up on her board, and yeah. So there's lots of things that can remind them about what day it is. The other thing that is unique to New Life, and certainly in the middle school level as we move into that, is the idea of flex time. So if no one's ever explained what flex time is, it is a half hour in our day. It's right after second hour. We do it on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Fridays. And we'll talk about block schedule in just a minute that I didn't add up to the slide. But Mondays, Tuesdays, and Fridays, we have flex hour for a half an hour after second period. And really the idea of it is the kids do what they need. So if they need to go blow off some steam, they go into the gym and they kick a ball around, or they shoot hoops, or they hit a volleyball, or whatever it might be, and they just have time in there. It's supervised, but they have time to go do that if that's what they need. For some, they'll go to the coffee shop and they'll get a frap and they'll sit at a high table with their friends and they'll gab about what's going on in the world. in their world, not the world, but in their world, because they're middle schoolers. They don't get outside of that mindset very much. We'll talk about that on another slide. So for some, it's, boy, you know what, I'm struggling in science right now. I need some help. I'm going to go talk to my science teacher, see if they can help me on that last assignment because I didn't understand it. For some, they get what's called required flex, where a teacher says, I know you're struggling in this. You may not know it yet or you're not willing to admit it, but I know you're struggling, so I'm going to put you on the list. And every teacher is going to see that. So if they see you wandering during flex hour, they're going to go, shouldn't you be with Miss Allen right now in social studies because you have that test that you need to make up? That's not me. That's somebody else. No, I'm pretty sure it's you. Come here. No, we would never, ever do that to most children. So flex time, one thing for you as a parent to ask when they come home on a Monday, Tuesday, or Friday is, hey, how'd you use your flex time today? Especially if you know they might be a little bit behind. It opens up a lot of really good conversations that might not happen otherwise, because they may say, I went to the gym. Oh, really? Who are you playing with? Now you get an idea of who they're hanging out with. You get an idea of what they might be interested in, because, oh, did you play basketball, or did you kick a soccer ball? Were you hitting the volleyball? What was going on today? Or, yeah, I went into the great room and I kind of just sat alone today. Well, why was that? I just wasn't having a great day. Well, can you tell me a little about that? So even something as simple as just, how did you use your time? Sometimes opens up some really good conversations. It also gives you an opportunity to say, you know what, I know you're having a little bit of a hard time in math. It might not be a bad idea for you to go sit with Mrs. Rowe for a little bit, or with Mrs. Meyer, or whoever it might be. So good conversation there. The one thing I didn't put up here then is we do have our block days still. So those are Wednesdays and Thursdays. Block days mean that we block 2 classes together. So instead of having 7 classes, they have 4 classes on that day. So first, second, third, fourth hour on Wednesday. And then Thursday is 5th hour, and then chapel and community groups, and then 6th and 7th hour. So great opportunity for our teachers to kind of have those projects that might take a little bit longer, or those science labs or whatever it might be, to have them during those block days as opposed to having to rush through something in 48 minutes. So, expectations when we get to middle school. Biggest thing with anybody is, can you treat others well? I put on that rule number 1. When I taught middle school, my rule number 1 was always, don't be annoying. And then they'd be like, what's annoying? Well, annoying is in the eye of the annoyee, not the annoyer. I said, so you may think that what you're doing is not annoying, but if the person next to you thinks it is, then you're being annoying. Okay? Now, rule number 2, you might be surprised by this. Rule number 1 is don't be annoying. Rule number 2 was, if you're being annoying, stop it. Because sometimes that's all it takes to say, no, that's not okay, stop it. It actually works really well with my children, too, to tell them, like, it's okay to say stop to your sister or your brother. So we want to work with them. One of the things that I've really liked as I've stepped into the principal role, actually, is when kids I don't like when they don't treat each other well, but I like working with them in that moment. And be able to say, how can we do better? How can we help somebody, instead of pushing them down, how can we lift them up? How, when we're in the middle of something and we start henpecking because one person said something nasty and now 3 people say something nasty, because that's just middle school, I hate to break it to you. And it's not that we ever want to condone it, and it's not like, oh, I thought that would never happen at New Life. It happens everywhere, I hate to break it to you. But in the midst of that, how does, instead of jumping in with the henpecking, how do we go, you know what, we're not going to do this today? And I've had several kids in my office where we have that happening, and I just say, you know what, not only are you not going to do that anymore, but you're going to make sure that that never happens again. So in the midst of someone else saying something to that student that isn't very kind, you're going to say, no, we don't do that here. We want to make sure that we're learning how to treat others well. Okay? Big one in middle school, you're setting habits for the future. So really work with your student on making sure that they complete homework on time. There is a penalty. It's a 10-second deduction. Or 10 second. What are we doing? Are we racing? No, it's a 10% deduction. How about that? Oh, goodness. 10% deduction for up to 5 days. So homework assignments due Tuesday, they don't turn it in. Wednesday, they do turn it in, 10% late, or 10% taken off. Okay? So you got 8 out of 10, well, you just lost 10% of that, so you actually got 7.2 out of 10. So you went from a B to a C. And this is what we call formative work. You'll hear these terms, if you haven't heard them before, we have formative work and we have summative work. Formative work is helping our teachers form an opinion about how your child is doing. That's homework assignments, it's short little quizzes to go, they're not getting this, they need a little bit more help. Or, boy, the whole class hasn't gotten this yet, we need more lessons on this. A summative assessment and that's worth a whole lot more, and we don't necessarily take points off if that's late, because it's usually tests or maybe a major paper or a project, or they've done a video with peers or something like that. A summative assessment is, we've done this unit, you know it, now you're going to show me what you know. And that shows up a whole lot more as percentage-wise on their grade. So if you're looking at the grade book and you're like, I don't understand that. When I add up the points, they should have a B+, but it says they have a C-. Well, you need to look at whether it was a summative assignment or a formative assignment. Because a summative assignment counts as a whole lot more on that, because it's showing us what you know. Whereas the formative is just, we want to make sure that you did it, so it's worth some points, but that's really helping inform me as a teacher what you need to do more of. Okay? So complete work on time. For you as a parent, and most of you are starting to learn how to navigate this, is Schoology is going to be your main source of information. The posts on there, every teacher has their own page for each course that they teach, which is going to tell you what assignments are coming up, what the grade is. It's going to have resources and notes for each unit, all those things. That's a great place to go and familiarize yourself with that. We are working with our teachers to make sure that that is uniform as possible, so that when you learn how to navigate Miss Allen's site, that you're not like, oh, I got that one figured out, and now I go to 7th grade science and it's all different. We want that to look as similar as possible, and that's what we're working on right now in our areas of growth, is to figure out that that is as close to possible for you, so it's easier. Okay? Grading, I just talked a little bit about the difference between summatives and formatives, so we're going to move on. Okay? A little bit with child development, and I'm not going to spend a ton of time on this, mostly because you're already in this world right now. So you're going to look at these and you're probably just going to nod vigorously and go, yeah, why didn't somebody tell me that a year ago? Your child has increased emotions. Their highs are really high. Woo, I got 100% on that test. Take me to Dairy Queen. Their lows are really lows. Nobody sat me with lunch. Everybody hates me. This is the worst place ever. I hate the world. Okay? Anybody heard that recently? Probably so. Okay? When they get hurt, not just like I skinned my knee, but somebody said something unkind to me, that is like the end of the world. Like, they have a hard time coming out of that, because things just, they feel things so much more deeply. You're gonna hear friend issues. I mean, the Mean Girls movie and bullying boys and all that, like those stereotypes, that makes sense because that's real. And do we do everything we can to make sure that we're treating each other well? Yes, we do. Does it still happen? Yes, it does. And then we work through that when it happens. But you're going to hear things more, and because they feel things more deeply, the things that don't really seem like that big of a deal are almost the end of the world to them. So we'll talk about what does that mean for you as a parent. Independence, some of you are seeing this already. You used to be the most important thing in the world to them. They couldn't wait to come and crawl in your lap and watch TV. They couldn't wait to play a game with you. They couldn't wait to go camping. They couldn't wait to do almost anything with you. Now they don't want anything to do with you. They want to hide in their room. They want to be on their phone. You ask a question, how was school? Fine. What did you do today? Nothing. You can't get an answer out of them. That's normal. So if you think, my kid's weird. No, they're just a teenager. It's just what it is, okay? They're very egocentric. Everything is about, how did it affect me? I don't care about the people around me. How did this affect me? The teacher said this, that made me feel bad. My friend did this, it made me feel bad. Okay? And because of that, they also don't see their part when they make somebody else feel bad. So, exaggeration, AKA lying about what actually happened in a situation. I always tell kids there's 3 sides to every story. There's what you say, there's what the other person said, and then the truth is somewhere in the middle of that. My job when they come to my office is figure out how close to the truth is to one person to the other, okay? And then find consequences from that, okay? Social media, if your kid has a phone, they're on it. Whether you say they can be or not, I hate to break it to you, they're on it. As a parent, okay, set expectations and hold them accountable. You should know what sites they're visiting. You should have a rule in your house that you can see their texts at any time. In all honesty, I hate to break it to you, you can save a life that way. Mrs. Hakadal will agree that we've had multiple occasions where a parent has looked at their kid's text, oh my gosh, so-and-so, their friend, is saying that they are thinking about killing themselves. It's just part of the world we live in right now. But your ability to see those and know what your kids, who they're talking to and what they're talking about may actually save someone else's life or their own. So it's important for you to have those rules, okay? Be aware of where they're seeing, because right now, where I said they're pulling away from you, guess who their infallible resource is? Their friends and social media. They have questions, that's where they're going. They're not coming to you anymore. So you need to know what answers they're likely to get there. Last thing, because I know Mrs. Hockadall and Ms. Klinoff are going to be mad at me because I'm taking up all their time to talk about academics, but I like the social part of middle school. I'm weird. I'm sorry. So what I want you to know, okay? Your middle school experience is not their middle school experience. So don't put your expectations or what happened to you on them. Really great article I read last night and kind of getting prepared for this that talked about, a woman said, my 7th grade daughter was in the midst of all sorts of friend drama, and within just a couple of weeks, all the moms were in the same friend drama because they were reliving their middle school experience. It's really easy to do. If you said, that would never happen to me, it's really easy to do. We put our own expectations, our own experiences in those situations. Try to pull back. Okay? Try to pull back and look at it with fresh eyes. Okay? Second thing, they're uncomfortable in their own skin. They feel weird all the time. And they are weird all the time. They smell weird, they look weird, they walk weird, they fall down. It's all kind of, no offense to any middle schoolers that are in the room, apologize, or past middle schoolers. But understand that they, like, when you ask them, how you feeling today? I don't know, my body feels weird. Yeah, it does. You probably remember that. Okay? The last thing, they still need you, but they don't want you to know it. Okay? They don't want to show it. When they come to you with something, like I said, they've already talked to their friends, they've already been on social media, so when they come to you, it's a bit of a last resort. And that's weird as a parent when they used to come to you with everything, and you could answer and talk about it, and now they're coming to you, and you want to either judge, I can't believe you did that, or rescue, how can I help you? I can tell you, being married, one of the first things I learned from being married was my wife didn't need me to fix everything, she just wanted me to listen. And a lot of you can probably identify with that. Your kid is the same way. Eventually, they may let you help them, but to begin with, they just want you to listen. And if you get that face of horror the minute they start talking, they're done. So how do you listen without judgment? How do you go, okay, tell me more about that? I can't believe that happened to you. I'm so sorry. But in the meantime, you just say, oh, well, tell me more about that. Can you have that calmness behind you? Second thing is, you're still the parent. They don't like you anyway. I don't mean to be rude like that, but they're trying to push you away anyway. So when you say, oh, I don't want to set boundaries because what if they won't like me? They already don't. That's not quite true. They still do. They still love you. But it's okay to set boundaries. They need to be nudged back towards being a decent human being because everything in their world says it's all about me and nothing else matters right now. So no, it's about other people too. They need you to set boundaries. So I'm going to have, who's coming up next? Okay. Melissa Klinoff is going to come up. She's our registrar and jack of all trades. She's just about everything. She's going to talk a little about classes and other things as well. And then Mindy Hockadall, who's our counselor, will share some thoughts as well. So thank you.
Good evening. I do want to just take a moment to mention technology. If you will have a 7th grader next year, this is a little bit of a different change for you. If you have an 8th grader, it's nothing new. But all students will need their own device for school next year every day. Couple tips, make sure you find a device that is able to stay charged well, that isn't so huge that your child can easily carry it around. I always recommend putting your child's name somewhere on it, on the bottom, and if they're going to be carrying their charger back and forth, put their name on that too, because those are kind of a hot commodity. We also do ask for no headphones during the day at school and also no cell phones. So those are some of our expectations on our kids in addition to the computers that they will have. If you have specific questions about what device to get, that will be published on our website. It's usually a part of the sheet that comes out with all the school supply needs. If you have specific questions, I can certainly give you my opinion. As a parent, I've had 2 kids go through it, and we have purchased a number of devices and repaired a number of devices, and so I'm happy to share my experience with you if you want specific information about that.
All right, and I'm not going to take too long because I know we're kind of crunched on time. If I do not know you or if you do not know me, I am Mrs. Hockadall. I am your child's school counselor here at New Life Academy. Your students know where to find Mrs. Klinoff and I. We are right across from the band room, and they come to us for a wide variety of reasons. Some of the things that Mr. Mosman talked about, some friend issues, hurt feelings, maybe feeling overwhelmed and feeling stressed out and feeling anxious because they just have so much going on that they just feel like they're going to explode. That comes to my office very often. But they also come to us if they're struggling in a class and they need help getting help. We can set them up with National Honor Society students. We help advocate to the teachers for them if they don't feel comfortable yet saying like, hey, I'm really struggling, I need some extra help. And they also come to us for schedules and schedule changes. So Mrs. Klinoff will take a few minutes to go over their options for next year, and if you have questions, feel free to let us know at any time.
So for both 7th and 8th grade, we will automatically register your child for their core classes for English, social studies, science, Bible, and we'll also see what they're in math right now, and we will just bump them up one level. So if your child's in Math 6 or Math Foundations, the 6th grade math class this year, they will be in pre-algebra next year. If they are in pre-algebra now, they'll be Algebra 1, and if they happen to be in Algebra 1 right now, they will be in geometry. So we just kind of bump them up one step every year. And so they won't need to do anything with that on the registration. So they will all be receiving an email. Well, they would have already gotten it from me today to their New Life Academy email, and there's a link to click that will take them to a form that asks their elective choices. And we do ask them to rank their choices. And the basic options that we're going to have them choose from are choir, Spanish, band, drama, studio art, 3D art, and technology. So in the past, we have had an art class. We are going to explore the idea is if there's enough interest that we can offer a 3D art class. So some of these I can't make any promises on. We're kind of putting it all out there to see what the interest level, because it's important to us that we're offering classes that your students really want to take. So if we have to pull back on some of these, we may if we don't have enough interest. We're also throwing out the option of a possible tech class to see if there's interest in that one. Spanish. This is an option in 7th and 8th. And the way it works is it would be your AB class would alternate with your PE class. And if you take Spanish in both 7th and 8th grade, that will count as your 9th grade science class. That will count as your Spanish 1 class, essentially. So you would need to do it both years. You will notice on the registration, do this with your child, that we are exploring, again, what is important to our students and to you. So there's a lot of questions. If you could do choir and band, or Spanish and band, would you want that option? Or would you want Spanish and choir? Do you want band and choir? So we're putting a lot of options out there because we really, truly value your students' desires, and we want to honor that. They will also have the opportunity to rank their semester electives. And I don't think there's really anything different here from past years. You can read the descriptions in the catalog. Please just rank them top 4. Don't worry about semester. The computer figures that all out. We just need to know what your top priorities are, and they will get slid right in where they need to be. If you have any questions, feel free to catch one of us, but I would encourage you to, if you have specific to class questions, talk to the teachers out there and find out about that. One that we do have on here is Intervention Lab, and that's a great class if your child struggles with getting their work done at school, or maybe evenings are super busy for your family and you need that time during the day. We are inviting them to be a part of that. It's kind of like a middle school study hall with the teacher working with them. So thank you for your time. I'm going to close in prayer, and then we will invite the middle school kids to leave, and we will be welcoming our moving up to 9th grade families. So I'm going to pray. Heavenly Father, I just thank you for this opportunity that we can gather, and I pray that as decisions are made for next year, that we will be thoughtful and that we will honor you in all the things that we do to work with our kids in this next step of life. In your name we pray. Amen. Thank you for coming, and have a great evening. And 9th grade families, we will be with you in just a moment.
All right, we're going to keep moving here tonight. Good evening. Thanks for coming. Thanks for coming for the EagleExpo and coming out. And we're so excited to see families, excited about this is the 8th grade going into 9th grade next year. So this is a big change and transition. So tonight we get a chance to hear from individuals about next year. I just wanted to highlight and see if you got my email earlier today that we have named our next secondary principal. And if you didn't hear, it is Mr. Mosman. So let's give him a round of applause.
Thank you very much. So we'll see if you're still plotting in a month or so, but the students in front. So great to have you here tonight. Thanks for coming. We'll just want to share a few things about that big move from 8th grade to 9th grade. Big transition year, and so there's some things we want to talk about academically. There's also some things we want to talk about in terms of just development emotionally and socially as well. So let's start talking about the school situation. What changes when you go to upper school and what stays the same? There are things that stay the same in that we still have a 7-period day. What changes when you get to upper school from middle school is there's no A and B day to worry about anymore. We don't have those every other day electives like we did before. But that 7-period day still stays. We still have our flex time. I think that for the students in the room, as you move from 8th grade to 9th grade, how you use that flex time becomes even more important because you are going to be busier. There is going to be more work to get done. And so as right now, you may use that flex time to, boy, I really need to go to the gym and just blow off some steam, and I'm going to hit a volleyball and shoot baskets and whatever else. Now it might be, you know what, every day I probably don't have the time to do that. I might need to go and sit in a teacher's room and get extra help. Or I might need to sit quietly in the great room and work on this assignment or whatever. We still have, so flex time for those parents that don't know, that's Monday, Tuesday, and Fridays. We have our normal first 2 periods of the day, and then there's a half-hour window there, half-hour block we call flex time, where it's really what the students need. They decide. I need to go blow off steam in the gym. I need to work on this assignment that's due next hour. I need to go meet with that teacher because I need a little extra help or tutoring. I need to go to make up this test that I missed last week. All those are options during that time, or I just need to go visit with my friends and sit at a high table drinking a frap, which seems to be a highlight of the day for some people as well. So all those are options. I would say my challenge to you students is to use that time wisely. Sometimes the best use of your time is to sit at that high table and drink a frap with your friend. Sometimes it is to go to your math class and get a lecture tutoring. Parents, for you, not a bad idea to ask when they get home, how'd you use your flex time today? Not as a checkup, but one to kind of, okay, there is an expectation. I want to know how you're using it, but that also sometimes opens up conversations that don't happen otherwise. Well, I went to go see my math teacher. Why did you do that? Are you struggling in there? Is there a little bit of a problem? Well, I sat by myself. Well, what's going on? I just needed a little time to myself. Okay, well, tell me more about that. There may be some things that open up by asking that question. Expectations for you, and this is both parents and students. Okay? Schoology usage becomes even a bigger deal. Our teachers do a great job of making sure that their assignments, their notes, their resources are all linked on Schoology and easily accessible. We keep working as a staff to make sure that that's even more streamlined from class to class. So that when you go to Miss Carly Allen's class in English, that you're not having to go, okay, well, I figured out how that one's structured, but then when I go to Miss Rodriguez's class for science, it's structured differently. We want those pages to look as close as possible to each other. So as a parent and as a student, you know, hey, when I need to find this unit, this is where I'm going. When I'm looking at my homework and I realize that I have this missing assignment, this is where I'm going to find it. Is it linked right there, or do I know it's going to be in this assignment folder or wherever it is? So we're working as a staff right now to make sure that for you as a parent or you as a student, it looks as close as possible to what everybody else's looks like. So you're not having to have a special guide of, oh boy, well, I do this here and I do that there, but it's pretty streamlined. So Schoology usage for students, check your email every day, your school email. Everybody has assigned a newlifeacademy.org email. You need to check it. Yes, we'll put announcements on Schoology and the different courses in the different groups, but there's also things that come out to you as a NLA user that you need to be aware of. A lot of notes, especially as you get older, that come from Mrs. Klinoff or Mrs. Hockadall about things that are available to you are going to come through email. You as a student need to get used to that. Last thing that we'll talk about in terms of expectations. Okay? Attendance becomes an even bigger deal when you get to high school. It's important when you're in middle school, but when you get to high school, when you miss class, you miss a lot. And because those grades now count, not that middle school grades don't count, I didn't say that, okay? But when you all of a sudden start thinking about, I want to go to college, your GPA starts your first day of freshman year. And that GPA earns you extra money in scholarships. It earns you the opportunity to go to a school that you really want to. All those different things, it matters. So parents, I'm going to put a little bit back on you when you're thinking about things like vacations, whereas when they're in elementary school, you know what, we're going to take a week off in November because the flights are cheaper then. Or we're going to extend an extra couple days because if we fly back on Wednesday, it's much more convenient for me. You kind of need to put yourself in your kids' shoes. Every day they miss of class matters. It puts them behind. It puts them in stressful situations where now not only am I trying to keep up with what I'm back in class for, but I still have to make up the last 2 days too. So as a parent, help your kid out. Make sure that they're here. We've kind of come through this COVID issue where, you know what, if you got the sniffles, stay home. Okay? We didn't want you here at school. And now we're getting to the point where, you know what, you can have the sniffles and it might not be COVID. For a while you couldn't do that. It wasn't possible. Now I think we've gotten to the point where, yeah, you might have a scratchy throat and you're not going to die. Okay, I don't mean to make light of it. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that. But we kind of got in that habit of anytime you feel even a little bit not right, stay home and miss school. Now if they're sick, stay home. But if it's sniffles, that's what, like every day they're here matters. And it matters when they're not. So really focus on getting them here. Tardies are another part of that. You can be tardy for just the day, but you can also be tardy for every hour. We rotate classes every 48 minutes, and there's a 4-minute passing time. We do keep track of tardies. There are consequences for being tardy. And part of the reason why we don't want students to be tardy is that it's a disruption to class. Our teachers want to start right away, and all of a sudden somebody comes in walks in 2 minutes late. It disrupts not only the teacher, but everybody in that class, and now we've lost a little bit of flow. Whether that's first hour or 7th hour, it doesn't really matter. We need our kids to be there, and we need them to be there on time. A couple changes to be aware of from middle school. When you were in middle school, if you turned in something late, you could have it late up to 5 days, and you only lost 10% of the grade. Now you lose 50% of the grade on day 1. So if you turn in an assignment and you got 10 out of 10 on it, but you turned in a day late, guess what grade's going in the grade book? Math majors, anyone? We'll work on that later, Grant, okay? Half, 50% is what you're going to get for your score. Well, that's not fair. Well, turn it on time. Turn your work in on time. We're serious about that. We want you to make strides to do that. Again, that goes back to, are you staying on top of Schoology so you know what's coming up? Can you make the proper plans to make sure that you're prepared for class every day? Okay. Second thing, especially as you head into 9th grade, again, your grades count now. Like I said before, your GPA starts on day 1. And I used to be a college basketball coach, and I would recruit students, and it was really sad sometimes when we would look at what kind of a financial award they would get. I coached at a D3 school, so we couldn't give athletic scholarships, but we could give academic ones. And when a student had a 3-point whatever, they got a whole lot more money than when they had a 3-point whatever down here. And you think it's not that big of a deal. Or when they got a 2-point something, they were almost inadmittable. So here's a student we really wanted to come and play basketball for us, and we couldn't get him in. And a lot of times when we talked to that student, well, I didn't really take things seriously my freshman year and half my sophomore year. Well, I'm putting it on you right now. You need to take your schoolwork seriously from the very beginning, and part of that is being there, and part of it is getting done on time. This is more for parents, but you guys might recognize some of the things in yourself as well. So child development, what's going on as we're in this 8th, 9th, 10th grade area, okay? They have a whole lot more relationships with people not named mom and dad. Whereas when they were in elementary school, even early middle school, they came to you, they liked hanging out with you. Let's go bowling, let's go to the movies, let's go camping, let's do all those things. They're probably not coming to you as much to say that anymore. They're hanging out with a whole lot of other people. I have a sophomore and a senior. I rarely see my children. My son is very social. He's gone a lot. He goes bowling with his friends. He goes and hangs out at other houses. I'm like, dude, our house is fun. Come hang out with us. He goes and hangs out with other people. Okay? My daughter is very serious about her schoolwork. She spends a lot of time doing her schoolwork in her room alone. Okay? They used to do it in the living room. As they've gotten older, they've moved away from us. Some of you have probably already experienced that, where all of a sudden they don't spend as much time with you as they used to. Okay? It's not, you didn't do anything wrong. It's just who they are right now. Okay? Their friend group and how their friend group perceives them is very, very important. They're kind of trying to figure out who they are, and they make their meaning of themselves based on how others perceive them. And some of that is they get into dating. And so who of the opposite sex appreciates them and what they stand for and what they're about matters. Okay? There's a whole lot more increased questioning. Just saying because I said so doesn't work anymore. Just because saying because that's how the world works doesn't work anymore. They're trying to figure out what they actually believe. And sometimes that plays into their faith too. So you've gone to church as a family forever, and you had them go to Wednesday night classes, and you've asked them to go to youth group and all those things, and they've been great about going, and then all of a sudden they hit 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th grade, and even though they're here and they're hearing it every day, they're trying to make sense of it for themselves. Is that really what I believe, and why? And that's okay. It's okay for them to be doing that questioning, okay? They're going to ask, why does the world operate like that, and where do I fit? Okay? And because of that, they're going to try new phases, new personalities, and take some new risks. And as a parent, how do you handle that? Okay? Well, that's where we want to partner with you. I'm not going to go through all the different scenarios you're going to face right now, but if something comes up and you're like, whoa, this didn't come with a manual, I don't know what to do, make a phone call, send an email. Okay? We'd be happy to work with you on that and give you some ideas and give you some pointers. Okay? The other thing that you're going to see in your student is their anxiety is going to be increased. They start to get future focused. Even at 9th grade, where am I going to go to school? What am I going to study? Okay? Is anyone going to like me when I get there? All those things. Okay? Again, that idea of others accepting them matters a whole lot. You as a parent, what can you do to lower that anxiety? Can you be there to have those conversations? Can you lower that anxiety in terms of academic by, one, making sure that they're getting enough sleep. Number two, making sure that there are boundaries to where they go and what they do and with whom. Okay. Number three, that they aren't missing a ton of school or being tardy, so that they do get their work done at a reasonable time. Okay. All those things that help reduce anxiety. Okay. A lot of the kids that are really high anxiety right now are because they haven't done their schoolwork or they've missed a lot of school. So everything you can do as a parent to help with that matters. Okay? Again, there's a whole lot more things we could talk about and about what you can do as a parent. Make those phone calls, send those emails. Let us know how we can help you. We want to partner with you as you're working to, as I like to say, make your child a palatable human being, okay? Because we want the best for them. Right? I'm going to pass it off to Mindy Hockadal, who's going to talk a little about the counseling department and registering for classes.
All right, I am so excited that there are so many 8th graders in this room because it shows me that you're excited for 9th grade and you want to learn about what next year is going to be like. So I am very excited to get to know you guys even better. If you are a new family and I have not met you yet, I am Mrs. Hockadal. I am the school counselor here at New Life. And I just wanted to take a few minutes to kind of explain what I do and also what Mrs. Klinoff does. Excuse me, she'll be coming up next to talk about course selections and what classes to take. But some of the things that students come to our office for are social emotional concerns. You know, there are students who have a lot going on and they take a lot of hard classes. They don't know how to manage their time. All of this is new to them. They get involved with the play, they get involved with sports, and they stretch themselves so thin that sometimes they get very, very overwhelmed. So they come to us for situations like that. They also come to us when they don't know what classes to take next year. They're wondering, should I take this honors class? Should I not? Should I go into filmmaking? Should I not? So that is another reason that they come to us just talking about their academics. They also come to us if you guys need help in a class. If you're struggling in, let's say, Spanish, and you need a tutor, or you just need somebody to offer some help to you, you guys can come to us for that as well, and we will set you up with a National Honor Society student, or we will work with your teacher and help come up with a plan to get you guys caught up. Some of the things that Mr. Mosman said are very important. I can't tell you how many ninth graders, unfortunately, this year didn't do the best after first quarter. And they didn't know to come and ask for help. They didn't know where to even start to find resources for help. And grades do matter. And then because they didn't do very good first quarter, they had to work really, really hard second quarter, because remember, your first and second quarter grades average to your semester grade, which is going to go on your transcript. We also, every year, have students in our office applying to colleges that they're nervous they're not going to get into because their grade point average isn't as high as it could be, because in ninth grade they didn't know how to balance their time. They weren't getting enough sleep. They weren't studying to the best of their abilities. So it is important that, the next 4 years are going to be great, and it's going to fly by, and you guys need to be involved in all the things that make you happy, but it's also important to use Mrs. Klinoff and I as your resource. Let us help you to do the best that you can, because the time is going to go by really, really quickly, and I guarantee it's going to be a blink of an eye, and you guys are all sitting in front of me, and we are applying to college together. So make the best of it. Advocate for yourself. Take advantage of any opportunities that arise. It's also important to start thinking about your college applications in ninth grade. If, let's say, in ninth grade, your son or daughter volunteers somewhere, document that. If they get an award like Math Student of the Year, even though it's ninth grade, document it, because once 12th grade comes and we start applying for college, we need to remember all of the honors, all of the awards they've received, any recognition, all volunteer work. So I really recommend even starting a notebook, and just from ninth grade on, start recording all of the important things that are going to help sell your student to that college in 4 years. Kind of like I said, we can offer mental health support, academic issues, NHS homework. At Flex Time, our office is not very big. We did lose 2 of our offices this year with a remodel. But some students come in if they just need some extra help and they want to talk to a teacher, or they might meet with a National Honor Society student in our office or in the new Academic Skills Development Center that's right up where the upper room used to be. They can go in there during Flex Time as well. And so this is going to be in your course catalog that you have selected from the back of the room. Mrs. Klinoff is going to talk about the state requirements for graduation and how we're going to fit in all those 25 credits in 4 years.
So by the end of your senior year, you will have a transcript. That is a collection of all the classes you have taken starting in ninth grade. And we just, every year, another semester gets added on. And it might look like a lot, and I'm sorry that it's small, you maybe can't read it, but you can look in your book. It might seem like a lot, but trust us, if you are just going through the plan and following our recommendations, it's very doable. If you want to take some summer classes, you can, but I want you to know that that is not required, and there is no need for that. Some people like to keep active in the summer and move ahead, so that's fine if you do end up. I'll show you the summer offerings in just a moment. But by the end, by the time you get to senior graduation, you need to have 4 complete credits of English. That means you're going to be taking an English every semester of your high school. You need to have 3 full math credits. That means you might have a year off of math. But that being said, many colleges and universities do want to see a math on. So we don't necessarily recommend that, but that is the state requirement. 3 social studies credits, 3 science, oh, that's a typo, 3.5 science credits, 2 credits of Spanish, which is our language here, 4 Bible credits, which again, you'll be taking a Bible class every semester. You need 1 credit of PE. If you are in a sport, a school sport, for 2 different seasons, that can count as one of your PE classes, and then you can take an additional PE class. And then 1 health class, 1 credit of fine art, which we have a variety of things, band, choir, many different art classes, drama classes, and then a 0.5 tech credit, which again, there's a variety of ways to get that. It might be more on the art side, a graphic design class, a digital photography class, or a computer science class. So there's a lot of ways to get those in, and you'll see in the course guide that they're by section so you can see what would qualify. So as ninth graders, if some of you maybe already did it, but you can click, go into Veracross, and there's a button that says register for next school year. One thing I already registered you all for is Intro to Bible, so you don't need to do anything with that. I've also automatically registered you all for Spanish 1. Now, the choices you will need to make. English. We have English 9 and Honors English 9. Honors is going to move at an accelerated pace. I believe there might be at least one extra book that you get through within the year. The expectation is that students are a little bit more self-motivated for that class. There might be more material they're expected to cover on their own, as opposed to, for example, maybe reading more of it at home of the book instead of reading it aloud in class. So that's something to consider. If you're not sure what to do, you could talk to Mrs. Bauer and say, Mrs. Bauer, do you think, am I a good candidate for honors? Talk to Miss Allen, who's the 9th grade teacher, and get their opinions and thoughts if they think that you're a good candidate for that. Another choice you have with honors is science, intro to physics and chemistry. Same thing, it's gonna move at a little faster pace. I would recommend if you just really, if you love science and that's your thing, do it, go for it, why not? If it's maybe not your thing, talk to your teachers and find out if that's a good route for you, okay? It's not for everybody. Now, those honors classes are weighted, and that just means that if you take an honors class and you get an A, on your transcript it will show an A, but when it calculates that GPA, instead of calculating at a regular 4.0 credit, it's actually going to add a little boost on. You get a 0.2 boost. So if you are taking the honors or AP classes and you're getting all A's, you might eventually start to see GPA that goes 4.2, 4.3. So it does boost your GPA if that's your goal. The other thing that, and this is going to be new next year if we have enough interest, and I should say that most, we're going to offer all of these, but some of it's dependent on interest of you. We would love to offer AP Human Geography, and that is the partner class to the Western Civilization class. That's the 9th grade social studies class. So AP is more of a college level paced class. I am told that this is one of the easier of the AP classes, but if you love to learn, you enjoy reading, you enjoy history, you would want to move at a faster pace, I would consider that. And again, talk to Miss Allen and get her opinion on it and see if you're a good fit for that, or talk to us in the ACC too. But it might be a good option for some of you. For math, we are going to automatically bump you all up one level. So if you are in Algebra 1 right now, you're going to get registered for geometry. If you're in geometry now, we're going to put you in Algebra 2. If you see on your registration that I put you in Algebra 2, you can just leave it. Or if you want to say, oh, I think I can do Honors Algebra 2, go ahead and change that to Honors as your selection. That is fine too. That is one of the options. So the things I've just mentioned, if you were keeping track, that's 6 classes. So out of your 7-period day when you're a 9th grader and when you're a 10th grader, we pretty much already have those all booked for you by taking those core classes. So really your 7th hour is what you can have some choice in electives. We have tons of different options. Band and choir are the classes that would go all year, and then we have a variety of semester electives that you can choose to do, one in the fall and one in the spring. So when you're registering those, if you want to do band and choir, you would just need to put one of those because that's going to be year long. If you pick these others, I would list your top maybe 3 or 4 and rank them so that when the computer does its business, it can kind of see what your top choices are, and it will hopefully schedule you in what you want. We don't build a schedule until you've done registration, and so we just try to have the computer build the best schedule for all of you possible. Now that being said, I can't promise you're all going to get your top choice, especially 9th grade year, but we will do our best to get you in something that you enjoy. There is also the option of study hall. If you feel like you really need that time in the day to do some work, you can do that, but know that you are not able to do a study hall every semester of your high school career. You will at some point need to not have a study hall in order to hit the total of 25 credits that you do need to graduate. I mentioned summer classes, and if you are interested, I'll be honest with you, I'm not a big fan of recommending this to those of you going into 9th grade, just because it's a different pace and it's new, but if you're really wanting to do something this summer, we will offer this. We typically, almost every year, we're able to do PE and then kind of health every other year based on interest. These are the things we're going to offer, and if we get enough students, we will run them. PE, health, college prep math, which is if you're kind of prepping for ACT, a robotics class, and a Daniel class, which is for our 11th and 12th graders. You've heard it already 2 times, so I'm going to say it one more time, and now maybe you'll remember it, but GPA does matter. And I say that because I care about you, and I'm not saying that I value you because you have a high GPA, but what I've seen, as Mrs. Hockedal said, I've literally had students, seniors, adults, young adults, in my office across from me crying because they are in fear of not getting the scholarship they wanted or the college they wanted. And they might have A's every single class their junior and senior year, but they look at that freshman year and they're like, Mrs. Klinoff, what was I thinking? And I said, I don't know. I have told so many kids, will you come talk to the next year 9th graders and tell them your story? And they're like, yes. But it's a change. I know it's hard. I know it's different. But if you don't keep up from the very beginning, it just piles and piles on. So do try from the very beginning to keep that in mind. And again, watch out for those weighted classes that will help that GPA. Consider honors, AP, but also that balance. If you do all AP, might not necessarily be the best option if you get overwhelmed and it becomes too much. And again, we are very willing to have those conversations with you about what's a good balance. I've already gotten emails from some of you. I'm so impressed with some of the responsible people that have sent me messages. So keep that coming. Come talk to us, talk to the teachers. Another thing in a high school right before we finish up here is that we do have a service hour requirement as a part of our graduation. And what we are doing is we're going to honor the students at graduation who have fulfilled their service hours. And so that's just something you will track kind of on a piece of paper, or if you want to keep a note on your computer throughout your freshman year, and then at the end of the year, you'll turn that in, and there'll be opportunities. But I just want to plant that seed in your mind that start looking for those opportunities of how you can serve, how you can make a difference in other people's lives, because we know that those experiences are going to be amazing for you as well as the people you help. So we are going to wrap it up now so we can move on to our next group, but we want to thank you for coming. I'm going to close with a word of prayer, and then feel free to go and visit with our teachers. We'll be here for a moment if you have some quick questions, but please feel free to email us if you have any questions. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we love you so much, and I thank you for all the students and parents that have gathered here tonight, and I just pray that you would bless them as they look forward to next year, that our decisions will honor you, and that we will truly do what is best for each student in the room. We thank you so much, Lord. In your name we pray, amen. Have a great night.
Good evening. This is the last group of the night. So we have this well versed. We've gone through these slides. We have this down. So we're going to try to keep this smooth and quick as possible. If you don't know who I am, I'm Brandon Melt, interim head of school. And tonight is really to help our students prepare and get ready. And hopefully get a chance to speak to our teachers out there and talk about their content and making decisions in these 10th, 11th, and 12th grade years. I asked Ms. Hockadall if I could just put a plug in real quick as they go through all this. A program that may or may not be mentioned this year is we're working on our internship program for students that are going into their junior and senior year, and really trying to have that experience for them as they're trying to define what career makes the best choice for them. Just real briefly, I had a couple interns this past year. One, it was a tremendous experience for both of them. One, solidified this is exactly what I want to do as a career. The other one, great experience, this is not what I want to do as a career. So it's best, if we can have those experiences now, is a lot better for the student. And so whatever we can do, you can talk to Mrs. Hockadall, Mrs. Klinoff to see if within the student schedule, if that's a possibility. The real reason I'm up here tonight is hopefully you received our communication from this afternoon that we have selected our secondary principal, and that happens to be Mr. Mosman. So let's give him a round of applause.
Thank you. Good evening and welcome. Good to see all of your faces. This is our, like you said, our last meeting of the evening, and I have work to keep shortening down. I'm working with Melissa and Mindy over here, and I think they say, okay, we've got a half an hour, and I think I talked for 25 minutes. The first time, those of you that know me know that's not a surprise. The second time, I think I talked for 22. I was down to 14 last time, but I also told them I had cut out one slide between the 7th and 8th graders and the 9th graders. So I know that when we get to sophomores through junior or through seniors, which all of you are coming up for this year, that there's a whole lot more to cover because all of a sudden you have options with AP and CIS and PSEO and all those. So I want to make sure that I give them enough time. But there are a few things that we want to talk about just in terms of upper school information, and then also a little bit just of development that you'll see as you enter kind of these last few years of high school. So talking about our upper school, again, most of you should be fairly well versed with the schedule at this point. The one thing I just want to highlight is the idea of flex time again. Flex time is Monday, Tuesdays, and Fridays. Those are our normal days where we've got all 7 class periods. Wednesdays and Thursdays when we have our block days, so they only have half of their schedule at a time, but they're longer periods. I want to highlight flex just because it really is a great time for them to do what they need to do. That's partially why it's there. I know in other schools, my wife is a teacher at Anoka High School, they were kind of looking at schools that have a similar idea to flex. And I loved what Chanhassen High School called it. They called it their win time, W-I-N, and it stood for what I need. And so their idea with their kids, and they spend a lot of time preparing them for, is your job is to pick what you need in that half-hour block or hour block, whatever they did. So if that means that, you know what, you're fried and you just need a half an hour to sit with a friend and drink a frap at one of the high tables outside the coffee shop, go do that. If you need to go get extra tutoring in your science class, go do that. If you need to make up a test because you were absent last week, go do that. If you need to just blow off steam in the gym because you're antsy and wiggly and whatever else, go do that. But whatever it is, figure out what it is you need. And the cool thing is, as you get to that 10th, 11th, 12th grade range, your brain is a little bit better positioned to do that than, say, the 6th and 7th graders. They're just like, gym time? Cool, okay? No, you can go, yes, gym time is cool, but I really need to do my science homework right now. And so part of that I'm going to put back on the students in the room is have that mental capacity to go, what do I really need right now to be successful? Because as we see anxiety ramp up, a lot of times are the choices we are making, are they increasing our anxiety, or are they lessening our anxiety? And how you use your time has a lot to say about that. Expectations. Obviously, you should be well versed with Schoology right now. We keep working as a staff to make sure that Schoology is as similar as possible from teacher to teacher, so that it doesn't become a course for you as a parent to, okay, when I go to Miss Cordum's class, it looks like this, but when I go to Miss Rodriguez's class, it looks like this. Can we make that as close as possible from class to class? So that's where our growth is coming right now as a staff, is trying to do that. So it's much more easy for you to navigate both as a parent and as a student. Second thing, and this is more for the students in the room, but as a parent, remind them of this. You should be checking your school email daily. So that's your newlifeacademy.org account that everybody has. There's a lot of stuff that comes out, especially from Mrs. Hockadall and Ms. Klinoff, that's important for you to know. So if you're not in that habit of checking your email daily, we'll talk to kids and be like, oh, did you get this message? No. Well, I sent it a week ago. Well, I don't check my email very often. No, you need to be doing that. That's part of your responsibility. The last thing I'll say about kind of our expectations is attendance and tardies. Whether you're in school or not matters. It matters a whole lot. And so parents, I'll put this back on you a little bit, that the time of saying, boy, you know what, but if we fly back on Wednesday, flights are a lot cheaper. And you're going to put your kid 2 days behind because you came back 2 days late or 3 days late. So is that worth it? Is it worth the anxiety you're going to put on them? Is it worth the class they're going to miss? Is it worth the potential lost grade because you wanted to save a couple $100? I get family vacations are great. We have several breaks throughout the year. Use them. Some of them are 7 days, some of them are 5 days, some of them are 3 days. Use them however you can, but let's keep our kids in school as often as possible because it does matter that they're here. Kids, tardies, you're thinking, oh, but I'm just 2 minutes late and I really needed that cappuccino. I really needed to wait for it, and now I'm 2 minutes late. Yes, and you just disrupted your entire class walking in 2 minutes late, and you missed the first 2 minutes, which could have been a bell ringer that would help you know, boy, I don't know this stuff yet. I need help from this teacher. I need to ask a neighbor, whatever it might be, but you missed that bell ringer because I needed my cap. Okay? So attendance and tardies, please get to class and be there on time. Okay? Academics, you know the late work policy when you get to the upper school is that if you turn something in late, it's 50% off. Now, it's different if you're absent, but if you are just, it was due on Monday, I've been here every day, I don't have an excuse, I just turned it in on Tuesday because I wanted to. I didn't want to stay up late on Monday, I didn't want to do homework over the weekend, whatever it is. You're going to take a 50% off penalty with that. And that matters. Okay? Things go down very quickly in terms of grades and grade point average when you start losing points because you turn things in late. And it's a bad habit to get into. Okay? Last thing, this is a quote I loved during the time that I was a teacher. I started almost every quarter off or new grading period with this, and every year I start with this as well. If you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always gotten. So if you're sitting here right now and you're finishing up 9th grade or 10th grade or 11th grade and you've been an A student because you have great habits and you pay attention and you get your work done on time, well, guess what? If you always do what you've always done, guess what you'll probably be next year? An A student again. But if you're sitting here and you just finished 9th grade and your GPA is kind of not where you'd like it to be, especially as you think about that in just a few years you're going to be applying for colleges, and you go, well, next year I'll be better. Okay? But you do exactly what you did this year in terms of your habits, guess what's going to happen? You're probably going to have the same grades that you got this year. If you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always gotten. So can you change the habit because you want something different, or can you maintain the habit because you like where you are? It's never too late to start over. I had a really bad 9th grade year. Well, great, make it a better sophomore year, and then make it an even better junior year, and make those improvements. All right, that's all I had for tonight. So thank you very much. I'm going to pass it off to Mindy Hockadall to talk about the Academic Career and Counseling Office.
I have to say, I am highly impressed with the 10 minutes because this is our 4th meeting, and like he said, we're trying to be very punctual and respect everybody's time. So nice job, Mr. Mosman, high school principal. A lot of you were in the last meeting, and in the last meeting it was for freshmen, and so we talked a lot about grades and keeping on top of things. So some of the stuff that you're going to see on the slides I'm not going to talk about because I don't want the people who were just here to be bored and fall asleep on me. But if you do not know who I am, I'm Mrs. Hockadall. I'm the school counselor here at New Life, and this is Mrs. Klinoff, and she is our school registrar. We are your go-to for a lot of different things. So we have a lot of different situations that come into our office regarding mental health. If your student is anxious, overwhelmed, experiences panic attacks during the day, just feels really stressed out with friends, things like that, they can come see me. I can communicate resources with you when times are needed. They can also come to see us if they are struggling in a class. They don't know how to get the help they need, or they want to get maybe outside tutoring. We have lists of resources within the community to help with that as well. We also are the gatekeepers of your students' high school transcript. So if you need to see what they got, some parents reach out to us because they get deals on car insurance when your student starts to drive. We are the ones that can provide you with that information that you need as well. So for the students who are in here, just kind of to reiterate what Mr. Mosman had said is make it a good 4 years, right? Challenge yourself, but know what you can handle and what you can't handle. Do not stretch yourself so thin that you are not getting the sleep you need. There are students in here that I see who I talk to often about sleep. It is very important that you sleep. If you don't sleep, you're going to be a hot mess the next day and more emotional and just have a really hard time. So balance your time. Take the classes that you know you can handle. But if you have questions about what classes to take, that's where me and Mrs. Klinoff come in. We can help talk to you about the different rigor of courses. We can help you talk to teachers, things like that. So just lastly, come see us for anything. Parents, our doors are always open for you as well. You can email us, you can call us, any questions you have regarding mental health, academics, college planning. Mrs. Klinoff and I have just met with all of our juniors to plan for their senior year because our juniors need to make sure they've taken all the classes needed to meet state requirements for graduation. But just because you're not a junior, if a 9th grader, 10th grader in here has questions about, hey, what should I take next year because I'm going to be done with Spanish and now I have an open hour. What would be best for me to take this year to get me to this place the following year, to get me to the college that I want to the following year? That's where they can start meeting with us at any time. So Mrs. Klinoff is going to go over course registration. I'm going to tell you guys, because this is going to happen, it is not first come, first serve. So do not stay up tonight and get all frazzled because you can't get into your email, you don't know your password, and you want to be first to register to get those classes, because it's not going to work that way. So if you can't log in, you can reach out to Mrs. Klinoff, but it will be emailed the link to your students. Parents are not going to receive the email because we want our students to really take ownership of their course registration. So if you have questions, let me know.
All right, as we get started, I just want to call attention to one of the things that is a part of our graduation requirement, and that is service hours. We do feel that's an important thing, that we're helping you learn how to get out in the community and serve. It might be through your church, it might be through school or your family. There's a lot of ways to do it. All we ask is that you keep track, maybe in a notebook. I do have, if you're a current student right now, I do have some pages back there for this current year if you wanted to write down your places and your hours. And our plan moving forward is we will recognize students at graduation who have submitted and fulfilled all their volunteer hours. I hate to say that you should serve because it'll get you something, but I do want to remind you that if you're looking at colleges and scholarships, I feel like lately whenever I help kids look through things, one of the questions always is, what have you done to volunteer? What have you done to work in your community? There's scholarships that are all about that. So I would encourage you to take opportunities to do things like that, to learn new skills and to set yourself apart. And it's just fun. It's fun to serve others and to be like Christ in that way. All right, graduation requirements. I know this is tiny, so you can't read it all, but it is in your course guide, and in fact, there is a page that lists the requirements with kind of a checkbox if you want to keep track, but we help you keep track. It might seem like a lot, but I promise you this is completely doable in 4 years. If you're a 10th grader, guess what? You don't get a ton of choice this year. We'll explain that to you. But as you get to junior and senior year, you get a lot more choice. I do see, too, I grabbed a wrong slide. It is actually 3.5 science credits that we do need you to have. I'm not going to, well, I'll mention with GPA, it's been said, but GPA does matter, but it doesn't have to define who you are, and we want you to just get the best GPA that you can get. I don't want you to be that kid sitting across from me crying at my desk because you didn't pay attention freshman year. Some things that can help your GPA is if you're taking the honors or AP classes that are weighted, that will boost your GPA. We have many students who end up with 4.0 4.2 GPAs from their extra classes. Honors classes are also included in that weighted. And if you don't understand the math on that, come talk to me. I have spreadsheets. If you like spreadsheets, I can show you the math because it's kind of fun for me. I did say it's very doable to get all those classes in within 4 years. We do know that some of you like to have a little bit more wiggle room, or maybe you do want to take something in the summer just to keep learning. So this summer, these are the classes we will offer: PE, health, college prep math, which is something if you're looking forward to taking the ACT. We also offer it during the school year, but we're going to see if there's interest. Robotics, and a Bible class, Daniel, which would be for students going into 11th and 12th grade. Daniel is such a fascinating chapter to study that if you just want that extra Bible, to keep going in the summer, it doesn't have to replace next year. It can actually be just an extra one that you add into your course load. We will run these if we get enough students registered, so you will find that link in the Parent Veracross portal. I think it's way at the bottom, so if you scroll to the bottom, there's a button that says register for summer classes. And that will remain open through May 1, so you have some time to think about that. All right, so what should you register for? Students, it's on Veracross. There's a button that says register for the 2022-23 school year. I'm going to plan at this point on leaving it open through Sunday night. So Monday I'll probably turn it off so I can start seeing what you've chosen. 10th graders, I'm going to automatically register you all for your Bible class and for Spanish 2. It's going to be up to you then to go and rank your English class and your science and your social studies. So English, think about regular or honors. Science, biology is what our sophomores take. If you're a lover of science, consider AP Bio, not an easy class. But if that's what would you like to speak to that, Susie? Yeah? No. But it's a great class. It's a fun class. If science is your thing, if biology is your thing, it's a great opportunity. And then history, there's U.S. history and government, or consider AP U.S. history. Again, not an easy class, but the way that students learn to learn and learn to think by taking these classes blows my mind. When I have conversations with them later, both of my children have been through several of these classes, and I listen to them talk to each other, and it's like a foreign language to me. It's way above my head. So it really helps to prepare you for college. So those are the choices to make. If you don't know what to do, think about it, talk to mom and dad, talk to somebody older than you, talk to us, talk to the teachers out there and get their opinions because they'll help you. I've had some good questions already come, like, Mrs. Klinoff, do you think I can do AP Bio and AP US History at the same time? What do you think? Oh, I have a yes from the audience. You talk to her. You might not want to. No, that would be a challenge. That would be a heavy load. But if that's you, if you're academic, if you like to study, then consider it. But you have to expect for the AP classes, it could be at least an extra hour after school, maybe more per class, per day. Yeah, sometimes a couple hours. I see lots of nods, yeah. So you have to calculate in a couple extra hours per day. But for some of you, that is definitely worth it. I will also move you to the next math class. If you were in geometry, I'll put you in Algebra 2. If you're in Algebra 2, you need to choose now. Do I want to go the pre-calc, calc, AP Stats route, or am I wanting to maybe do the personal finance, intro to accounting route? So again, talk about it, think about it, talk to us if you're not sure. And then, of course, electives. And this is for everybody. You just need to be thinking through and looking at which electives you've had. Okay, so I need a full credit of fine art. I haven't done that yet. Maybe this year I should at least get one of them in. You need to have full credit of PE. Consider getting that in. Again, there's plenty of time in your 4 years, but if you leave them all to your senior year, that can make a little bit of a tricky schedule. So we do encourage you to try to get in 1 or 2 each year. If you are taking all upper level classes though, maybe consider a study hall if you know yourself. That's also doable. All right, 11th and 12th graders, you really are pretty much a free choice of what you can register yourself for. Bible, I would ask you to just rank your top 2 or 3 electives, and once we get your registrations, a schedule will be built, and we'll do our best to get you all your top choices, but no, in a school where many of our classes were offering 1 hour per day, it's not always a perfect world. So it's a game that I play. I think last year, by the end, I think I had 47 scenarios run of schedules. So that's what I dream. I love logic problems, so it's kind of fun, but It also makes me a little crazy at moments. So seniors and seniors, we will put you in capstone, but you also need that elective. You'll all need a full year of English, juniors and seniors. Juniors, you can choose between comp, which is a semester class, but we're also going to try an AP Lang and comp next year, which we're going to move to a full year class. So if you want to do that AP class, just know that will be both your electives. You don't need to sign up for anything else. And again, it's another awesome opportunity to take an upper level class, to boost your GPA, but to also learn at an amazing level that's really going to help prepare you for college in the way that you're reading and writing and thinking. Social studies, juniors, you are going to need to take econ, so I think I just automatically put you all in for that. If you took AP US history this year, you still need to get your civics component in. And everybody else, you can choose from electives, and you need a total of 3 social studies. So you're all at different places. Maybe you want to take civics, or you could do psychology or sociology. Psych is a PSEO class that we teach here at New Life, so you would get college credit by taking it from Mr. Westland. Juniors, you're also going to need to take either science or physics. And there's a lot of options there. It might be regular chemistry, AP chemistry, or applied physics. So again, I recommend that you think about who you are as a person and studying what your interests are. If you can handle AP physics or AP chem, talk to other kids, talk to teachers, and we can help guide you there. You do need 3.5 science credits to graduate, so if you're a senior, you might need to pick up one more class. I've heard a lot of interest in anatomy, which is a fantastic class that is a year-long class. Some of you will want to take AP Chem. That's fine. If you took chemistry this year, AP Chem is a great next step. Chemistry does prepare you for that and can help you to do even better on that test. And then math, juniors, again, it's really going to depend on where you are now. And if you're going to be a senior, we do highly recommend that you have some math on your schedule, just because colleges do look, they do want to see that you're staying strong. We did actually this year had students who got letters from colleges saying, well, your GPA looks great, your previous classes were fantastic, but what are you doing now? Because we see on your schedule that you're in photography and studio art and choir. And what the college wasn't seeing was that the students had PSEO classes at least. So the colleges were like, what are you doing your senior year? So they are looking. They do want to see that you are maintaining a strong schedule throughout your career. All right, so I mentioned PSEO. And this is brand new for many of you. And if you're in it now, you might think you're an expert, but I do want you to listen because we have had more struggle than we'd like to see with PSEO lately. So, and those of you, I kind of wanted to say this in front of our kids going into 10th grade so you would just have this in the back of your mind and be thinking as you're looking forward, because it does change the way you might be thinking and planning. So PSEO is available if you live in Minnesota, it is for free, and you can take college classes online while you're a high school student. And the way we do it at New Life is if you come and say, I am signed up to take comp through Northwestern, we will give you an extra study hall on your New Life schedule to do that. And then during that time, you can work on that class. We mainly have been working with Northwestern, but this year we are excited to offer the option of Bethel. Excuse me, I got a little tickle. And so they have some similar, some different classes. So we can, if you're not sure which one you want to do, we can work with you to see what makes the most sense for looking at the classes. They have their classes available online if you want to go to their PSEO sites and just kind of read through that. To become a PSEO student, you have to first apply to the college as a PSEO student and be accepted by them. And you also need to get a state form for us, which is on the back table. Fill it out, turn it into us, and we will help you with that process. Excuse me. If you complete, for example, comp I mentioned, that is a 4-credit college class. So if you take that to a college, that will be 4 college credits you're going with. And New Life, we would give you 1 English credit for that semester class. So it kind of is a good deal. You kind of get more credits. If it's a smaller, like if it's a 1 or a 2 college credit class, then we'll give you a 0.5 credit towards that. So there are some classes that you can, some people call it double dipping. You know, you can take it at college and we'll count it for in high school credit, plus you're getting college credit. Some of the classes you might take PSEO, it might not really count for anything here, but those things can accumulate. It's amazing how just taking 1 or 2 every semester can add up for college. My daughter is a freshman at college, and I talked to her on the phone, and she's like, Mom, I'm an hour away from being a junior. I'm like, oh, dear, that's coming quick. So because of the PSEO she took that transferred over. So it's a great opportunity that we do have. If you have specific questions, again, look at the resources on the college websites. You're going to see a lot of information there, and talk to us. The biggest thing that we have found with PSEO is that it is really dependent on the student and what they are able to manage on their own, because we cannot see any of it. It is all on the student portal of that college. So we don't have, it's not like Schoology. We don't see your grades. We don't know your teachers. Your teachers don't talk to us when you're not doing well. And we have had some very sad moments this year with students coming in and they have not been passing their classes for a variety of reasons. And so we've had to do some juggling at the last moment, and it's been really difficult. And so do keep that in mind. If you want to do PSEO, make sure that you can be self-motivated, that you can stay on top of things. You have to check your college email daily. There's been multiple kids this year who've come to me, well, I had no idea there was a problem. And I say, well, log into show me your email. Oh, I have email. And sure enough, like, I'm not even exaggerating, 5 emails from a professor saying, are you going to turn this in? Are you going to turn this in? Are you going to turn this in? And now it's too late. And it's an instant F. And that goes on your transcript. So you have to know that if you're going to do PSEO, you are very responsible. You keep track of it. So again, you'll fill out your state form and apply, and then they will be sending information to you. So again, that's why you have to check your email, so you can know what to do. The courses are faster paced. They are college level. You don't have a teacher right in front of you. So for some kids, online is amazing. For some kids, that works great. For some, it is hard to not have the teacher standing there kind of talking to you about what you're writing or what you're learning, and it's always communication through an online source. It's not easy for everybody. So again, keep that in mind as you're doing that. And I'm not exactly sure how Bethel works. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but at Northwestern, their threshold for GPA is a C or C minus. So we have had students who have passed their PSEO classes with C's or low C's, but the university did not let them re-enroll again because their grades were just their GPA was just low enough. Is that similar? So passing is great. We want you to pass, but just know if it's low enough, you might not be able to re-enroll. And I'm also told by some of our former students is that their college did not even accept some of their PSEO classes if they weren't a high grade. So that just depends on where you're going to school. So I know that's a lot about PSEO, but we want you to be successful at it. We know it's a fantastic opportunity, but we don't want it to cause stress, and we don't want it to impact graduation. And that's what we're dealing with a lot right now, is students who are trying to figure out how to graduate because we have some credit issues because of PSEO. A couple just things to call out that are coming up. Juniors, we do plan on doing a mission trip again next year. Such a great opportunity. There's nothing set in stone yet. You will get more information about it, but there will most likely be an international and a local opportunity, so watch for information about that. Those of you who are going to be seniors, July 1, you're a senior. Can you believe it? And there we will be meeting. We'll have opportunities to talk to you more about very specific things, but it's not for all of you in the room, whatever age you are. It's always a good time to start thinking about college, to get on some campuses here and there, just to get ideas of what you don't like and what you do like, so that you're ready, so you're not just waiting till that senior year. We will walk you through that application process. We enjoy it. It's fun for us to talk about colleges and ask those questions. Be thinking, and again, this is for seniors, but really for all of you, be thinking like a college student in the way of, how do I balance my workload? How am I managing that? Be checking your email so you're not missing opportunities from us and from colleges that are going to be coming up. I will also mention quick that we do take a trip out to Colorado Christian. Ms. Hockadal took, how many kids did you take this year? 10, 11? 10 kids? Colorado Christian is a school that we've both come to really love. It's a fabulous Christian, smaller university, and it's kind of for those kids who, they maybe love the Northwestern Bethel, North Central idea, but they really want to go a little further away from mom and dad. And so it's near Denver, and it's lovely location. So if that's something that you're interested, you can apply now. They actually told me yesterday they opened the application for juniors. The information's on the back table. If you do want to apply, you can, and then you could qualify. They will pay your flight out, and you'll get to stay with students on campus and experience college for a day or two. So it's kind of a fun opportunity for our kids. All right, so that is all of the nuts and bolts in a very quick fashion, but use that course guide. There is probably way too much information in there, but hopefully it covers everything, but you can also talk to us anytime. And we'll stick around here for a few minutes if you have any questions. So I'm going to close with a word of prayer, and then you're free to go. Heavenly Father, we love you so much. I thank you for all these students and parents gathered tonight, and I just pray that as we look forward to these next years, that you will guide us, that our decisions will honor you, that we will put you first as we are looking at the little things and the big things. And I just ask that you would go before us in all of those things. In your name we pray. Amen. Have a great night.